Hello everyone, we're going to do the mini project 3, which is pitch shift or just adjusting pitch, which is a very simple project in some ways. We're going to look at some sound waves that only exist kind of digitally. There's no instrument that can play them. There's nothing in nature that really sounds like these specific sound waves. And we're going to use one of these sounds to create the first 5 notes of a scale, and then we're going to use that to compose a melody. So the first thing you need to do is we're looking at these sound waves here. To download it, you do have to click on the More Options on the top right and open in a new window. And then you will see that there is a download button right over here in the top right. And it's going to download into probably your downloads folder. You can see mine is over here. So we have the sound waves. And then you can close that page and then open up BandLab. We're going to create a new project. When you create a new project, it's always going to come up with a new track, and we're just going to import our audio file here. So we click on sound waves and click open. And if you play it now, you'll hear that there are 4 separate sound waves. They're all pretty long, a couple seconds each. What we want to do is we want to separate them. So we're going to zoom in, and you'll see that there is a break between the different sound waves. So you're going to move the playhead to basically where there's, if you zoom in, you'll see there's a little bit of a silence. You're going to move the playhead there, and then you're going to make sure that the sound clip is selected. Again, if it's not selected, you're not able to slice it, but if you select it, you'll see it's going to become an option, and you separate it. And you scroll to the right, and same thing, move the playhead, click separate, and then move the playhead and separate. If you zoom out, you'll be able to see it. Now you have 4 separate sound waves that you can kind of move around if you would like. The next part is you want to create 5 additional tracks. You're going to just click voice mic, any audio, right? Any sound, any audio. You're just going to click that 4 times or 5 times. You're going to play this, whatever is your favorite sound wave you're going to choose, and you're going to, let's do this one. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to mute this top track. We don't need it anymore, and I'm just going to make a copy of this to the bottom. Basically, the bottom track, we're going to build a step ladder in a sense using this sound. The next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that our snap to grid is turned on, and our grid size is a half note. And if you try to move it, you'll see it moves by these blocks, and we're going to trim from the right side, not from the left, from the right side, to make sure that the sound is only 1 block in length. And then we're going to make a copy 5 times, just like this. And if you play it back, it's all just going to sound the same because we haven't changed the pitch yet. In this case, we're going to be creating, we're going to be creating do, re, mi, fa, sol. And these are the semitones that are for the scale. Using a guitar, the easiest way to look at this is a guitar has what are called frets. A little more. So if you just play any open string, I'm playing the bottom, the highest string. If you just play the first one, this is just kind of, these are called semitones. They're half steps in music. If you go to the 12th semitone, this is going to be exactly the halfway point of the string from the bridge all the way to the top section, which is called the nut. And you're going to, if you cut it in half, this is the 12th fret. In music, there are 12 semitones between the octaves, and this demonstrates that. So instead of cutting this in half, we're going to just create the first 5 notes of the major scale, which is the second semitone, which is 1 whole tone, the 4th semitone, which is 2 whole tones, and then the 5th semitone, and then the 7th semitone. So you will get and that is exactly what we're doing, but using BandLab instead of an actual instrument to play it. So now we have these 5 notes. The first one we don't need to change. The first one is Do. We're starting with Do. We don't need to change it. The second one, we're going to click on the editor. I'm just going to open up this a little bit. You can either double click on it, or you can just click on the whatever sound and then click editor. So in this case, I'm just going to rename this Do because that is what we are making. This is going to be Re. Re is 2 semitones up. We're going to click the plus 2 times. So going from 0 to 2, it doesn't say semitones, but these are semitones. The next one is going to be Mi, and it's going to select it and then click that 4 times. This is going to be Fa. This is going to be 5 times. And then the last one is Sol, and it's going to be 7 semitones up from the original. You can close the editor, and if you go back and you play it, you have those 5 notes, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol. Now you want to bring this back down, and you just make a very quick copy. And I'm doing this by holding down Alt on the keyboard. Hold down Alt, and then you click and drag on the sound you want to make a copy of. In this case, I'm going to make another copy of Do. And now we're going to change the settings. We're going to change the grid size to a quarter note instead of a half note. Then we're going to trim this again, and we're going to make another copy. And what is the point of this? If we look at 1 half note, you'll see that there is no break. If we look at a quarter note, you'll see that there is a break between those. So it's just half the length, but now you get 2 of them. So again, you don't need to change the pitch at this point because you did it originally, and you're just making a copy of that sound file, the audio clip. So just like this. So now you have everything that's duplicated, and you can even just make a copy of this and just move them into position. The less work you do certainly is, the more efficient you are with your timing. So this is most of the project at this point, where you have Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, Fa, Mi, Re, Do, and then Do, Do, Re, Re, Mi, Mi, Fa, Fa, Sol, Sol, kind of coming down. But now these are doubled, but they're half the length, so it kind of looks like it's the same length. And then from here, the last part of the project is just to use these quarter notes and half notes to compose a melody. If you are a little more musically inclined, if you read music, play music, you can certainly play around, and especially you can go into 8th notes. If you want, you can create additional tracks and create the rest of the scale if you want to use the full scale. There's a lot more songs you can play using 6 notes rather than just 5 notes. So that's kind of up to you. But for to keep this basic for the everyday student who probably does not play music, you can just use these notes. I'm going to demonstrate on how to make Ode to Joy from Beethoven's 5th Symphony. And we're going to start with Mi. And I'm just going to So to kind of demonstrate what we just did here, Now the ending is actually very similar. This is just the first half of the phrase. You can actually just make an entire copy of this. And you're just, oops. You're going to delete this, and you can bring this, and then you just need one more half note at the end. And this is going to be do. It's going to end on, it doesn't start on do, but it ends on do. So again, if you listen to the whole thing. Now, if you want, you can certainly play around with, again, with the grid size. And I'm going to change this by 1/8 note. I'm going to make it 1/8 note shorter, and I'm going to add 1/8 note here for this effect. And I'm going to trim this by 1/8 note. And I'm going to add 1/8 note in that place on the do. So it's kind of a So that's just one thing that you can do to make this melody a little more fun, is by adding 8th notes. If you want to make an original rhythm or an original melody, you can certainly do that as well. It does not have to be something that exists, but it certainly is one easy way to do that. One thing you can do is you can stack notes to create chords. So when you play multiple notes at the same time, that is a chord. In this case, it is a major chord because we have a major third, if you know your music theory, which is 4 semitones. If you would like, you can make that minor by making this 3 semitones instead of 4. Changes the quality of that sound overall. So there's a lot of things just that you can do. Kind of limitless potential for this composition. And this is, again, just the most important part is just half notes, do, re, mi, fa, sol, and then double of the quarter notes. That is all.